Adapted from archaic translation by Robert Chalmers. Jataka number 87. Maṁgala-Jātaka. Whosoever renounces. This story was told by the master while at the bamboo grove about a brahmin who was skilled in the art of predictions which can be drawn from pieces of cloth. Tradition says that at Rajraha city lived a brahmin who was superstitious and held false views, not believing in the Triratna three gems: Buddha, Dhamma the nirvanic path and Sangha the holy order. This brahmin was very rich and wealthy, exceeding in substance. And a female mouse gnawed a suit of clothes of his, which was lying by in a chest. One day after bathing himself all over, he called for this suit, and then was told of the mischief which the mouse had done. If these clothes stop in the house, thought he to himself, they'll bring ill luck. Such an ill-omened thing is sure to bring a curse. It is out of the question to give them to any of my children or servants. For whosoever has them will bring misfortune on all around him. I must have them thrown away in a burial ground. But how? I cannot hand them to servants. For they might yearn to possess and keep them, to the ruin of my house. My son must take them. So he called his son, and telling him the whole matter asked him to take his charge on a stick, without touching the clothes with his hand, and throw them away in a burial ground. Then the son was to bathe himself all over and return. Now that morning at dawn of day the master, looking round to see what persons could be led to the truth, became aware that the father and son were predestined to attain salvation. So he took himself in the guise of a hunter on his way to hunt, to the burial ground, and sat down at the entrance, emitting the six-colored rays that is the sign of a Buddha. Soon there came to the spot the young Brahmin, carefully carrying the clothes as his father had asked him, on the end of his stick, just as though he had a house snake to carry. "What are you doing, young Brahmin?" asked the master. "My good Gautam," was the reply, "this suit of clothes, having been gnawed by mice, is like ill luck personified, and as deadly as though steeped in venom. For which reason my father, fearing that a servant might yearn to possess and retain the clothes, has sent me with them. I promised that I would throw them away and bathe afterwards. And that's the job that has brought me here." "Throw the suit away, then," said the master. And the young Brahmin did so. "They will just suit me," said the master, as he picked up the fate-fraught clothes before the young man's very eyes, regardless of the latter's earnest warnings and repeated requests to him not to take them. And he departed in the direction of the bamboo grove. Home in all haste ran the young Brahmin, to tell his father how the sage Gautam had said that the clothes would just suit him, and had persisted, in spite of all warnings to the contrary, in taking the suit away with him to the bamboo grove. "Those clothes," thought the Brahmin to himself, "are bewitched and cursed. Even the sage Gautam cannot wear them without destruction falling on him. And that would bring me into disrepute. I will give the sage abundance of other garments and get him to throw that suit away." So with a large number of robes he started in company of his son for the bamboo grove. When he came upon the master he stood respectfully on one side and spoke thus: "Is it indeed true, as I hear, that you, my good Gautam, picked up a suit of clothes in the burial ground?" "Quite true, Brahmin. My good Gautam, that suit is cursed. If you make use of them, they will destroy you. If you stand in need of clothes, take these and throw away that suit." "Brahmin," replied the master, "openly I have renounced the world, and am content with the rags that lie by the roadside or bathing places, or are thrown away on dust heaps or in burial grounds. Whereas you have held your superstitions in past days, as well as at the present time." So saying, at the Brahmin's request, he told this story of the past. Once upon a time there reigned in the city of Rajraha city, in the kingdom of Magadha, a righteous king of Magadha. In those days the bodhisattva came to life again as a Brahmin of the northwest. Growing up, he renounced the world for the hermit's life, won the knowledges and the attainments, and went to dwell in the Himalayas. On one occasion, returning from the Himalayas, and taking up his dwelling in the king's garden, he went on the second day into the city to collect alms. Seeing him, the king had him summoned into the palace and there provided with a seat and with food, taking a promise from him that he would take up his dwelling in the garden. So the bodhisattva used to receive his food at the palace and dwell in the grounds. Now in those days there lived in that city a brahmin known as Cloth Omens. And he had in a chest a suit of clothes which were gnawed by mice, and everything came to pass just as in the previously mentioned story. But when the son was on his way to the burial ground, the bodhisattva got there first and took his seat at the gate. And, picking up the suit which the young Brahmin threw away, he returned to the garden. When the son told this to the old Brahmin, the latter exclaimed, "It will be the death of the king's ascetic," and pleaded the bodhisattva to throw that suit away, else he should perish. But the ascetic replied, "Good enough for us are the rags that are thrown away in burial grounds. We have no belief in superstitions about luck, which are not approved by Buddhas, pacceka Buddhas, or bodhisattvas. And therefore no wise man should be a believer in luck." Hearing the truth thus explained, the Brahmin gave up his errors and took refuge in the bodhisattva. And the bodhisattva, preserving his insight unbroken, earned rebirth thereafter in the Brahma realm. Having told this story, the master, as Buddha, taught the truth to the Brahmin in this stanza. Whose renounces omens, dreams, and signs. That man, from superstitions errors freed, shall triumph over the paired depravities, and over attachments to the end of time. When the master had thus preached his teaching to the Brahmin in the form of this stanza, he proceeded further to preach the four truths, at the close of which that Brahmin, with his son, attained to the first path. The master identified the birth by saying, "The father and son of today were also the father and son of those days, and I myself the ascetic." Source: adapted from archaic translation by Robert Chalmers. Jataka number 88. Sārambha-Jātaka. Speak kindly. This story was told by the master while at Shrivasthi city, about the rule touching abusive language. The introductory story and the story of the past are the same as in the Maṁgala-Jātaka above. But in this case there is the difference that the bodhisattva was an ox named Sārambha, and belonged to a Brahmin of Taxila in the kingdom of Gandhara, near Afghanistan and Pakistan including Kandahar. After telling the story of the past, the master, as Buddha, uttered this stanza. Speak kindly, abuse not your fellow. Love kindness. Abuse breeds sorrow. When the master had ended his lesson he identified the birth by saying, Ananda was the Brahmin of those days, Upalavana his wife, and I Sārambha. Source: adapted from archaic translation by Robert Chalmers. Jataka number 89. Kuhaka-Jātaka. How plausible! This story was told by the master while at Jetavana monastery about a dishonest. The details of his dishonesty will be told in the Untitled Chapter. Once upon a time when Brahmadatta was reigning in Benares, there lived hard by a certain little village a shifty rascal of an ascetic, of the class which wears long, matted hair. The official of the place had a hermitage built in the forest for him to dwell in, and used to provide excellent food for him in his own house. Taking the matted-haired rascal to be a model of goodness, and living as he did in fear of robbers, the official brought 100 pieces of gold to the hermitage and there buried them, asking the ascetic keep watch over them. No need to say that, sir, to a man who has renounced the world. We hermits never yearn to possess other folks' goods. It is well, sir, said the official, who went off with full confidence in the other's protestations. Then the rascally ascetic thought to himself, there's enough here to keep a man all his life long. Allowing a few days to elapse first, he removed the gold and buried it by the wayside, returning to dwell as before in his hermitage. Next day, after a meal of rice at the official's house, the ascetic said, "It is now a long time, sir, since I began to be supported by you. And to live long in one place is like living in the world, which is forbidden to committed ascetics. For which reason I must needs depart." And though the official pressed him to stay, nothing could overcome this determination. "Well, then, if it must be so, go your way, sir," said the official. And he escorted the ascetic to the outskirts before he left him. After going a little way, the ascetic thought that it would be a good thing to persuade the official. So, putting a straw in his matted hair, back he turned again. "What brings you back?" asked the official. "A straw from your roof, sir, had stuck in my hair. And, as we hermits may not take anything which is not given to us, I have brought it back to you." "Throw it down, sir, and go your way," said the official, who thought to himself, "Why, he won't take so much as a straw which does not belong to him. What a sensitive nature!" Highly delighted with the ascetic, the official wished him to fare well. Now at that time it was by chance that the bodhisattva, who was on his way to the border district for trading purposes, had halted for the night at that village. Hearing what the ascetic said, the suspicion was aroused in his mind that the rascally ascetic must have robbed the official of something. And he asked the latter whether he had deposited anything in the ascetic's care. "Yes, 100 pieces of gold." "Well, just go and see if it's all safe." Away went the official to the hermitage, and looked, and found his money gone. Running back to the bodhisattva, he cried, "It's not there." "The thief is none other than that long-haired rascal of an ascetic," said the bodhisattva. "Let us pursue and catch him." So away they went fast in hot pursuit. When they caught the rascal they kicked and cuffed him, till he discovered to them where he had hidden the money. When he procured the gold, the bodhisattva, looking at it, contemptfully remarked to the ascetic, "So 100 pieces of gold didn't trouble your conscience so much as that straw." And he rebuked him in this stanza. How plausible the story that the rascal told! How mindful of the straw! How regardless of the gold! When the bodhisattva had rebuked the fellow in this wise, he added, "And now take care, you hypocrite, that you don't play such a trick again." When his life ended, the bodhisattva passed away to fare thereafter according to his deeds. His lesson ended, the master said, "Thus you see, brethren, that this brother was as dishonest in the past as he is today." And he identified the birth by saying, "This dishonest brother was the dishonest ascetic of those days, and I the wise and good man."